Welcome to the fifth episode of the Why Not podcast, the Cool Family Journal. We've previously done episodes on death, aging, independence, and the last episode that we did was on education. So today it's a continuation of that. But before that, let me just say thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe and share it with your friends if you think it's beneficial. And yeah, so cool. You want to kick us off with our topic for today?
Yes, the kick-off. Thank you everyone for listening to our podcast. Although we are not the most popular podcast, it is not viral, but it's okay. We are doing it because we short sendiri. But even if you don't find it beneficial, also can click and like and subscribe, right? You also watch a lot of nonsense videos online also and click and like and subscribe also, right? Why not this one? This one's educational. Correct. Okay, anyway, so yeah, I just want to start this off by saying that we are all Malaysians and we are all not sensitive and easily offended bunch, right? So this podcast is suitable for you. Okay, so what are we gonna talk about today? Mom is here. Dad is in always is as always is in deep meditation, unable to join. Joking that. So we are gonna talk about education. So I think the last episode we had a super long education series, but it began off with more of a childhood reminiscent of our childhood lah. It's very personalized stories about our growing up, walking to school, nitty-gritty and all the stuff, and then it moved on a bit to policy and all that stuff. But now I think we're going on to secondary, matrix, and uni. I think it'll be more more faster pace. And yep, is that what you're talking about today? Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think we wanted to highlight also the aspect of inferiority complex when it comes to being in public school system or public university.
And I think to give context also, I think we went through a vernacular school from primary to secondary school, right? So it was quite a vernacular school. I mean, throughout for both you and me, in Penang, so it's a lot of Chinese, mostly Chinese kind of school. Yeah. But we love our country. We love our country. Saya cinta Malaysia. Okay?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. So how should we begin about this? Is it about inferiority complex? Okay. So what do you mean by that? Is it because your mom always think that you suck? Or is it something else? What are you talking about?
Mom, do we suck? Okay. I think, but inferiority complex will come slightly later. I think that's more more of a post-secondary issue. Unless
Sure.
I don't recall particularly suffering from inferiority complex just because I was in public school in Penang.
But if I may, can I just give I like to talk apparently. So maybe I can give a bit of context when I talk about this topic, because in Penang is unique. I mean, it's sort of, there's a lot of 名校 or famous schools, correct or not? In Penang more so than a lot of places. Maybe Penang and KL, right? So there's a lot of
Type A. It's called Type A.
Is it? Type A. Okay, so there are a lot of this, like especially vernacular schools, and there are also non-vernacular national schools, which are famous schools, like Zhongling, where I come from, where Jolo also studied for 1 year. So yeah, so during my time at least, I don't know about now, a lot of people fought to go in. So you needed to have straight A's, you needed to have good results in UPSR, which is the primary school exam, before you can go into those kind of famous, so-called famous schools. And I'm proud of my education there, and I'm always grateful for that. But it's a very competitive environment, at least during our time. Yeah.
It is, and I think it's a shock for some people to hear that in those it's called the Type A schools, and not just that. I think a lot of the Chinese school, we will have like during your time, I think each batch had like 500 students, 500.
Yeah, 580 over students for mine. 1 year, one form.
And that's just your school. Yeah, that's quite a bit, and it's not common in other states, I think, because when I told my friends that, they were quite surprised. Yeah,
so I mean, I grew up in a school of probably, let's see, maybe around 3,000, almost 3,000 testosterone charged boys going through puberty. I had delayed puberty, so I went through almost more than half of my secondary school years without puberty. Yeah, when everyone was growing hair all over, I'm saying, up and down everywhere, and then all muscular, getting taller. I was that puny little boy sitting in the front because I was the shortest. doctors. Mom had to bring me to a hospital, get me checked out. As we mentioned before, am I deficient in some growth hormone and whatnot? But fortunately, mom didn't proceed with agree with the doctor to give me steroids lah. So eventually, puberty did come. I did get interested in girls at a later age, and yeah. So that would probably be a sort of a informal approach to my secondary school years. Would you think? Yeah.
Okay, but I'll just add. Actually, I forgot one aspect of inferiority complex that's more peculiar to our relationship than about being in vernacular Chinese school in Penang. I did, I think, to a certain extent when I was growing up, suffer from inferiority complex because my brother was doing so well in school. He's always a straight A student. And so you're in Chongling, it's one of the top schools in Penang. And by the time you graduated as a top boy in Chongling. You're the first of 500 students, 500 plus students of in your batch. So that, I think there were times that obviously it was quite intimidating, or this inferiority complex, and I'm like, I always then self-label as a dumb or just not academically inclined person. I just accepted when I was young that I'm dumb. And I think one thing that really helped me, which I recently had a conversation with friends, one thing that was really interesting that I didn't know it had such an impact on me was that when we were young, mom and dad had a very, very strict rule for themselves that they won't compare us to each other. I think that was a very healthy thing that mom and dad introduced to our household. They will never compare us to each other. And I remember there were one time that I was being quite naughty and say, why my friends, the parents, let them do this, why I can't do this? And I remember mom or dad said this, but so if we don't compare you with other kids, you don't compare us with other parents, which I thought was a very fair thing. But between the two of us as well, mom and dad was always very fair in the sense that they say, oh, Coco is book smart, is very smart academically. You have your street smart. At that time, I felt that they were just coming out with bullshit just to make me feel better. But I think that helped quite a bit growing up with when it came to my inferiority complex.
Okay, I don't really agree with Coco when he said all Malaysians are not sensitive people.
Okay.
Okay, there are a lot of Malaysians that are very sensitive. Okay. Maybe including myself. Who knows? Okay. So about this secondary school or about this siblings rivalry. I don't think two of you have siblings rivalry. I think two of you really are very close, especially Shireen. Shireen always protect the brother instead of the brother protecting him. So our Shireen always look out for the brother.
Got.
Okay. Where got the pencil case?
Got.
Standard 6, your UPSR for the night before your UPSR. Shireen was the one running around collecting sharpening your pencil for you. Make sure you got your tupi pencil, your rubber, your pencil case all ready. So we are wondering why this girl. Tomorrow is Coco exam, but this little girl is running here and there, running here and there. Then the Coco sitting there watching TV or what, I don't know, relaxing, let the sister do everything for her. Okay, never mind, that is past already. So in the secondary school, I think Shireen was a real surprise to us lah. Okay, she turned out we didn't expect her to do so well academically, because in Peng Hua, in primary school she didn't get straight A's. She only got 5 A's out of 7 A's. So the headmistress had to specially give a recommendation to Peng Hua so that they can absorb this batch of students that they see can be a potential good students lah. So she was in the list. So we sent her to Peng Hua. But I think she didn't enjoy her life in Peng Hua. I think she didn't enjoy because you were either in the Form 1 and Form 2, were you in the last or middle or somewhere, not in the top class. So I think you don't enjoy, and you were saying the parents in Peng Hua are so segregated. Is it? How do you put it?
I think it's maybe just specific to the company that I was with when I was in Form 1, not so much Form 2. Form 2 I had some good friends, but Form 1, apart from the fact Form 1 I was in the 14th class, meaning I'm at like number 400 something, and then Form 2 I got a bit better. I'm in class 11. There are still like a good 350 students before me who did better than me. But I think Form 1, I was in the company that I was in, I felt that there was a huge sense of materialism, and there's a huge separation by class. So I feel like it's so odd to be in Form 1 and then everyone's already judging each other and see which sort of socio-economic background you're from, who's richer, who's not, who can afford more of this. It was a very bizarre experience for me.
I think
Then in Form 2, you joined the basketball team. You were so worried. Somehow, Angkong Kia Gui, Pote Secondary School in Gottip Road, which is next, a few blocks from Ping Hua, move to Sungai Dua. Move to Sungai Dua. So
which is very close to where you were.
which is just 5 minutes from our house. So we sort of transfer her from Ping Hua to Pote because she got so many basketball training, so many activities. I was tired of driving her to school, dropping her, driving her, and then Ping Hua to our house is quite fast. And due to peak hours, you have parking problem, traffic problem, a lot of problems. So we didn't hesitate to transfer her because to us it's the big fish in a small pond and a small pond in a big fish.
small fish in a big
principle.
pond.
Yeah, I think that's the I think that's the biggest difference, and I think that was quite a turning point for me in life too. Because in Peng Hua, I was a really small fish in a very very populated pond, and then obviously in Pote, then you're a smaller fish in a bigger fish in a small pond.
So when I was worried that if I ask you, you get really pissed off with me. But I was surprised that you go along with it. You say it's okay, you transfer me. So from then on, everything smooth sailing. Not to say smooth sailing, but from then on, you got your confidence because you were the big fish in the small pond. So then you gain your confidence back, and you did good. You did well in your SPM, and so on and so forth.
What Rooney said there and you said there, I think a few things I want to. You were talking about the class differences amongst the class. Ironically, a class difference amongst the different socioeconomic class in your Peng Hua, between the rich and the poor, is that right? And I guess is it the rich and poor, or is it the elites, maybe the educational elites or professionals, or is that sort of what you mean?
Just
The rich.
in terms of socioeconomic class, like your family
Socioeconomic class,
background.
I see.
There'll be
I see.
students who come in where there'll be drivers driving a Mercedes,
Wow,
dropping them
okay.
off, which is of course
It's
in
fine.
itself it's not an issue. It's just that there are certain group of students where they just judge each other by whether you're
Yes.
from a rich background or not.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
Kinda like-
very, very...
Kind of like the typical American cheerleader movie, like Mean Girls, that Denise made me
Yeah.
watch, that kind of thing. Oh, so it's real. So I wanted to.
And I remember, and in that example, I remember there was this girl who I think the parents gave her an allowance of 1,000 ringgit. I don't know whether it's a month or a week, and she would bring friends to Gurney Plaza because it's so close to Peng Hua, and she constantly buy her friends stuff, and then you feel very honored or very privileged, or she when she buy things for you, and she could afford to because she has vast amount of allowance money, which at that time I think we get 5 ringgit a week or 250 a day or something like that. So that was just a very bizarre environment to be.
It was
Oh,
a
you didn't
blessing in
recommend this
disguise.
friend to me. Okay.
Yeah, Mom, to
That-
answer your question, it was definitely a blessing in disguise, because when you are, at least to me, like, I think to your credit, maybe you obviously knew me better than I know myself at the time. I really couldn't flourish in that environment where I knew that I did put in some effort, but yet I'm still I'm losing to about 300 students before me. So really, if you put in more effort, what sort of difference does it make? At the time, that's how I felt. So I felt that I was academically very, very inferior just by looking at the numbers.
Actually, that
Okay.
time it was my selfish reason. I didn't want to drive all the way to Peng Hua to fetch you all your activities. So it's such a convenient, then a pawpaw staying just right opposite Pote. So if I cannot fetch you, you can walk to Popo's house. So much, and it's safer, so much safer. And then blessing in disguise in the sense that Pote generally are not, most of the students are there are not like from elite or like what you say, high social class people.
Super wealthy,
Some of them
maybe middle class.
some of them you even say that the junior boys, the younger boys, they are hawkers families selling at super tanker just next door, or during night emperor god they even go help to in the temple as a kitang or what. So you actually see the real on the what is it, or the real down to, not just down to the real life of people who are not rich and famous. So there are other people that don't live like what some of the rich Penghua girls do, So you get to see all that. That's the most important thing most important and thing that happened to you, I think.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, in Penghua, I'm sure that there's 500 students, so I'm sure there are people from a huge range of socioeconomic background as well. Some will be very rich, or some will be not so much, some will be like us very middle class. But when I was in Poti, I think that was quite an eye opener for me, because we have this super tanker, which is a very popular hawker center next to our school. And then after school, we always spend a lot of time there. And then some of my friends, their parents are hawker in that stores, and then I will speak to them, and I'll be so impressed that they would spend time, they're tired after school, and yet they go and help and all that. Then I got to know them, I got to speak to them, and there's so much values. I feel like there's so much life lessons that I've learned from there.
And it's a very good pertinent point. That these are things that schools can't teach you in words, in textbooks. These are life experiences and values you learn from mixing with people, like genuinely, and yeah, I think that this is a very important part of education as well. I don't know how else to formalize it into an institution, an education ministry, but this is a good point. Thanks. Okay, because Mom, you were also a Penghua girl, so you went through the entire 5 years in Penghua. So I wanted to ask you, if when you were there, did you feel that this class difference and all this?
No, definitely not. Because in Penghua, in my 5 years in Penghua, only in remove I didn't go to the top class, and Form 2. The rest I went in the top class, the first class. But then I totally don't have this social class problem, because in my class, I don't know why. If you can remember clearly, I don't have a really rich friend in my class that really teach. The most are teacher's daughter, teacher's daughter. So I don't know why your time got so many social class problem.
Maybe good, Malaysia is getting richer.
Yeah.
The disparity is getting bigger, maybe. It's a micro.
So my time also not so many students, I think. Your time a lot already, more classes already. And then Coco, when you say why she never introduced her friend to you, you were not, that time you were still in puberty. You still small little size, not reaching puberty. So how to introduce to you?
I wasn't in high school. I always never had any experience of high school boys had, dating other girls from other high school, tuition, they'll talk about this. And I guess I'm missing that experience from my childhood. So maybe that's why I don't really know how to talk to girls until today. So very shy and awkward, So, like very quiet boy, in uni and all that. So the niece also tengok, ni suka lah, So, who's that curious guy, from Taiwan, this drama, quiet guy, but not very handsome, hair look a bit like his grandma. So maybe, that turned out for the better. But anyhow, I think going back to
that's why you were so focused in your studies, and then you got first.
That's good also. I wasn't distracted. I didn't have the privilege of being distracted by girls, you see. Nor was I distracted by boys lah. So it was good lah. I just had the books was my best friend. No lah, just joking. I also have very good friends like Yu Chuan, Daniel, a lot of good friends in high school also. So jokes aside, I think I also made a lot of good friends there. But maybe less distractions. Yeah, but I think
you're quite a unique character in school also.
What kind of unique,
I think at the of your I guess the more stressful days when the big exams were coming out, there was a time, I think Form 4, Form 5, you were studying in the middle of the field in Chongling, the big field in front of the school. You were under the sun, and then just with your Sejarah textbook or something, you're just studying there.
I have a very, I guess people would say, unconventional ways of releasing my stress. So I think there was an episode where it was quite stressful, not really that stressful. I was just wanting to get maybe de-stress lah. So I just holding my sejarah, walking around because I study best by walking around, holding the book, walking about, not sitting down. I cannot sit down. So I was walking until the middle of the Chongling field, so it was it was noon lah, 12 o'clock. So I just sat down there after walking about. Then I just sat down there and started flipping through more of the books before I continued walking. Then I think the discipline teacher, he very sayang me lah actually. So he's the MS teacher lah. So Mr. Cheng, I think he's retired. Hope he's in good health. If he is listening to this, so he shouted lah, asked me to come in lah, asked me, "Lu si ki xiao ah, how is tak ka xiao ah?" Because that time I was the top boy in Form 5. But let it be known that I wasn't always the top throughout the 5 years. So I went in Form 1, Form 2, I was like maybe 80 something out of 500, then sometimes 50, sometimes 30 something. So Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, I was around there lah, so top few classes. So because you said in these elite schools like Chongling, right, they have like 5 top schools, A classes. So the first boy goes to A1, second boy goes to A2, third boy goes to A3, and like that lah. So the sixth boy goes to A1. So they try to mix it. So it's not like all top 40 in A1. So they give some competition, you see, amongst the top A classes. Then there's the B class and the C class. Not a very healthy thing, but I don't know. I guess we all especially the Chinese, they're very fascinated with all these kind of grades, marks, and all that. So, and then during exams, even if the teacher, what I remember clearly from my childhood is that some of the papers, right? We will always, after we receive the grade, let's say we get 95 or what, good enough. So it's funny is that I will look for any errors that my teacher made. Then I will fight and go to the teacher, "Hey, you miss out 2 points for me." Then it become 97 because every mark counts, So every mark counts. So when you, especially Chinese, you got 7 periods in a week. So it's times 7. So the weightage is very high actually. And so for certain language, certain subjects, depending on how many periods you have in a week. So calculate all this, then everyone, right, after the results right, everyone will start calculating lah. They will start calculating who is going to be the top boy this semester. So people will calculate the marks, ask you sometimes I will calculate. So then I can't calculate, then you'll see, oh, actually his marks how much? 86 point what? I remember the Zhongping the average 86.8 versus 88 versus 89. So who will be the top, second, third, fourth, whatever. So in
this kiasu attitude, I didn't teach you.
Superbly kiasu. But I'm still proud of my Chongling education. Had a lot of fun there. And yeah, so Form 5 only got top boy. But let it be known in the record that my SPM, but I was the top boy also. My SPM, my trial got straight A's, A1, but straight A's, I think. But my actual SPM, I failed. So I didn't fail. I got even my Chinese got A1. I was really surprised because I went for 2
Everything
tuitions
was
at one
A1
point.
except
the ridiculously one subject that I didn't even bother studying for because I was very confident in my English. It was English for science and technology. Yeah, so that screwed up my chances. So I didn't really get a shot at JPA medicine. I went for an interview, but I didn't get it. So I don't think without the straight A's you can get into JPA medicine. So anyway, so that's my academic years. Talking about studies from my aspect.
But since we've come to that, I've always been curious. I've not asked you before actually, because at the time you got a scholarship to do a A-levels in the UK as well, full scholarship, right?
I think we haven't reached there. We just still in secondary school. I didn't get any scholarship yet. So I applied for JPA, didn't get. For medicine, I didn't get it lah. So it was quite sad. Like my good friend Boon Hui. Yeah, Boon Hui, hi. So he got for example, engineering. So he got to go to Germany. So he went to the Intech, I think, something like that, pre-U lah, for all the JPA scholars before they go over to overseas. So I was quite envious. I always wanted to go overseas. I studied very hard in my secondary school years because I always dreamt of going to overseas, especially US kind of education. Because you see in the media that it seems very fun, right? It's very critical thinking. You have to do all these sports. You have to do innovation. It sounds very... I always sort of worshipped or looked to the West and say that that's a great education, tertiary university education that I wanted, but I didn't get it lah. So and we kind of I don't think, highly doubt we can afford US education fully. So that was my academic years.
Well, actually, was that
I think Shireen, luckily you went to Pote. You didn't get straight A's in SPM, and yet I get offered to enter matric. If you were in Peng Hua and if you were in Peng Hua and you get this SPM results, I don't think you get to go into matrix because I think they somehow allocate to like smaller
Certain
school or
schools.
not so popular, not
Yeah.
A-type school. So maybe it's all.
Is it?
That's why count your blessings.
I
Who
think
knows,
so,
no?
but I think
It,
but
it
I
also
think
takes.
because I got metrics also, again I don't know what's the actual metrics that they use to decide who gets in and all that, apart from the racial quota. But what I was told was also because I didn't get straight A's because I think my BM was like B plus, and there was no subject. I think Sejarah was A minus, but my math and science were all A plus. I think that's why that helped, because I have friends who had gotten like straight A's but had all A minus for math and science and all that. Then in the same school, they didn't get matriculation. So I don't know if that's one factor. But I think if I had stayed in Peng Hua, I wouldn't have gotten the SPM results that I got ultimately, because I would have, being in that environment, I would have decided at the early stage that I mean you won't end up like getting results that go get anyway. Just try your best and see how lah. And I don't think I would have worked that as hard or believe in myself as much when I was, as compared to when I was in Pote, because after I transferred to that school, I was placed in the third class. And there's only 7 classes in total. I was placed in the third class. I ended up scoring first in that class, 2C, I remember. And Coco bought me a present. Shironi #1. Remember the Zebra mechanical pencil? That was one of my very proudest moments when I was in school, and then Coco got me that gift. That was very, very meaningful.
Where is
That's
it
when
now?
it's
Where
at
is it
home.
now? Oh, okay,
It's in Penang.
nice. Nice save. Okay,
Mommy
okay.
kept it well for me.
Okay, mommy likes to throw things, but okay, good, good, good.
But because at the time I don't have pressure, I didn't feel that much pressure that I have 300 people I need to compete with. I just learn and then just go for exams. And
I think that's a very good point that we're talking about this, because I think this shows that the debate. I mean, if putting is always a premise that understanding that if you put everyone in a pressure cooker and compete amongst each other, intense competition can sometimes be negative, can be counterproductive for some students, right? So you're not realizing their full potential, such as in your case, if you have too much pressure and the competition, it's not healthy. That's a good point, maybe that we are talking about, right?
But I don't know whether it also points to the fact that at a younger stage you cannot handle that pressure, and how that translates to your ability to handle pressure at work. Then we'll get into that topic later. But in terms of that educational experience, after Form 2 and then Form 3, because of my Form 3 results, Form 3 I got into first class. But even amongst the first class, competition was not as great. There was that sense of that tension that you felt in Chongqing was just not there as much in Pote. Everyone just friendly. Yes, there are some competition. Peng Hua, sorry. That it's not the cutthroat sort of environment lah. And when I didn't have that pressure, I could perform a bit better. Then I realized, actually I'm not dumb after all. You're excelling in certain subjects quite naturally. Some certain subjects, especially math and science, is something that I really enjoy very much. And a lot of other students who used to in primary school score so much better than me, the certain subjects that I struggle with are things that it came natural to me. I just physics, chemistry, the first exams we had in Form 4, a lot of people suddenly struggled, especially those who were scoring very well from before. But I found I didn't need to put in that much effort, but it just came naturally to me. So I think that because of that environment, it helped me to have confidence in myself that I'm not dumb, essentially.
I think you always underestimated yourself. You didn't give yourself enough due credit. That's one. And I think sometimes the unhealthy comparison, which is not done by mom and dad, but I remember it was done by our tuition teachers. The tuition teachers that we went to the same tuition teachers, because they all knew that I was the top boy, so they are very sort of proud about it, that the top boy in Chongqing is in their tuition, that kind of stuff. So they will always say it, and they always hang it in front of you and say that, your brother is blah blah blah. And I felt that was unhealthy for you, and that was a bit unfair. That was quite unfair for another sibling to have to go through that.
But it really helped that mom and dad always remind us that we each have our strengths, so don't compare yourself to each other. Just try your best, whatever it is that you're doing.
So I think also that mom and dad also never really pressured me to be number one or anything. No. They knew, they emphasized that we needed to work harder. If I didn't do well in my grades, I know that will, pressure me to do better, but not to the fact that I feel immensely pressured, like like I cannot take it from my parents that they're really pushing me to the point. Yeah, so that was good that they gave me some space as well, not to overdo it. So I think that was good lah on their part. And also, I think this is where we join arts at, right? This is an important part of our secondary and my pubertal years as well. This is where I got to interact with people of other races and of other gender, right? So I think started in Form 2, I think. Mom saw, the Star 2 always had like, what's up, what's going on, this week, right? Then there was calling out for audition for Theatre Muda, Young Theatres, right? By Janet and team. So we joined that, met a lot of good friends, Salvan, blah, blah, I think. And then that's where we joined Heritage Table from Form 2 until my entire secondary school. That was what I was looking forward to all the time, right? Every week, every 2 weekends, I think, every fortnight, we would have to go to Beach Street, ABN AMRO, where Akong used to work. And then they converted the art center as a stage. Then we went to do a lot of wayang kulit, sort of like gamelan. That was amazing part of my childhood. So I think that really helped form our identity as well. Yeah.
Agree. Yeah. Mom said something earlier about
So that was the arts at that played a major role because we were looking forward to it. We went there. Sometimes we'll pick up other people, like Eugene, older or younger people. And sometimes there was also a chartered bus. So that was a great program because that really brought together kids of different ages, mostly secondary school to even pre-U STPM students. So there was a nice group of multi-ethnic, really multi-ethnic, of socioeconomic, like policeman's son, it's amazing. That was a really great program that I wouldn't be have the values we had today, some of the values.
Yeah, very transformative.
And I think also we were always in Georgetown, so we got to know Penang, we got proud of our heritage, and we went to interview. Arts Ed is a whole different episode, which we will bring to you as well. We will invite one of our Arts Ed current strong woman, Yuk Pin, on board in a future episode as well, talk about Arts Ed. We are very grateful to Arts Ed, and mom and dad was also very involved with Arts Ed. So we have performances on the street, stage, and we also learned how to play gamelan, wayang kulit. I had poor rhythm and all that stuff. But anyhow, all that is for a different episode altogether. That's a huge part of our secondary school years. Yeah, that was our. So who said that vernacular school can't be integrated, into a Malaysia, United Malaysia, all that? I think there are a lot of avenues to do that actually. So if you talk about one stream school system, it should be one stream for all, regardless, not just vernacular, but also we shouldn't have separate schools for different purposes, if you know what I mean.
We really do. We really shouldn't have an episode dedicated to what's that arts at what it does and the impact it had on our lives, impact it had on our family as well.
Yeah, a separate episode arts set. Yes, correct. Yeah. But okay, before I don't think we should spend too much time on secondary school. We should move on quickly as well to matrix and also uni. But I think it wouldn't be complete if we don't touch about some of the subjects that's unique to secondary school that we don't have in primary school. For example, things like Sejarah. I mean, come on. The emphasis of Sejarah was, let's be frank here, right? We did learn about the Kerajaan Champa, some of the Buddhist, Hindu civilizations and all that, but it was quite a bit, fair enough. Then I think there was then the Malacca Sultanate, all this, I think we learned also, which is good. East India Company, Malacca and all that, Strait settlements, all those stuff. But a huge chunk, I think.
The one from 3 was our Malaysian, more sort of Malaysian, this region focus. But from 4, I'll just come out and say it. I despise the syllables at the time. There's imbalance and overemphasis on certain things.
Well, let's just say, it's a lot of Islamic history, and it's not even local Islamic history. It's a lot about Islamic history in, I think, in Arab in Arab and all that time. Which is, yeah, I mean, I don't mind learning about it, but I think there was just a lot and a lot about it. I remember studying it.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I was tops in history. I even represented our school up to the zone. I won like the best. I'm that nerd lah for Sejarah quiz because I really knew how to. What I did was I drew cartoons and oh wait, sensitive, sensitive. But anyhow, I was a student. I didn't know all these political sensitivities. I didn't draw cartoon of the prophet. Nope, I did not. I drew cartoons of other characters that were involved in the Islamic history. Some of the Umar, you remember Umar Al-Khattab, Abu Bakr Al-Siddiq? I still remember a lot of these famous leaders in the Islamic civilization. But there was just so much of it. I still
Yeah.
remember some of it. And I felt that, yeah, I know a lot of people say that, yeah, it's true. We should have learned also about other things as well. It should be more balanced, I said, about world history and whatnot.
No, I enjoyed learning about Islamic civilization as a whole. It's just that I think it's proportionally, it's not very proportional lah, because I do realize that as when I graduated after Form 5, I felt very inadequate in my world history knowledge. Because
Yes.
what my friends were called in private schools or whatnot.
I mean, I mean, if I can add on to what you're trying to say, I think because I had extracurricular, I like history. I'm a guy that likes history. So I read a lot of this other world history through all the books that mom and dad bought on my own. I learned about World War II. I learned about other stuff that I like to read on my own free time, the encyclopedias and all that. So I was quite nerdy. I like to read all that out of my own exam and everything. So yeah, that's how I sort of know a bit more than what was taught in the textbook. But I think majority of people who don't have interest in history outside of the Sejarah books, you feel quite lost when people outside, when you go over in university or you meet people, when you go travel or anything, when people talk about certain things, there'll be things that you might not know about much. I think Sejarah was that I want to talk about lah. So are there any other subjects that you want to touch about that, maybe you think they can be improved,
Political moral, I think. Political moral, at least during your time and my time when we took SPM, was for SPM. It's good in the sense that it gives you an easy A, because all you need to do is to memorize 36 moral values. So each moral value has a very specific definition. If you can memorize all that's all you need to know, and then you can answer fairly well in SPM and you get an A+, almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the best way to evaluate someone on moral values.
I wonder if what they are learning now actually currently in the latest one, I don't know. But I think it's just memorizing the definitions. Like basically memorizing a dictionary kind of thing, the definition of words lah. That's it lah.
In terms of subjects, I think that's
So
about
wait,
it.
mom is very silent. So mom, what did you learn in the secondary school that you can recall? Was it very different from ours?
Definitely, our Sejarah is different from your Sejarah. Especially, you all know nothing about the Chinese history.
We did learn about touch and go very quickly about the Qin dynasty, the Shang dynasty, but probably a few pages maybe at most, I guess.
But we had to learn about some of the famous poems, some of the famous philosopher of China. But you all don't get to learn. I think we should go on to matriculation.
Okay, that was secondary school. So
that's the first starting point of your inferiority complex. You don't know about world history because girl doesn't like to read as much as you do, so she didn't read much on the books we bought for two of you.
She was out playing basketball, meeting all those naughty boys. I remember got one, I was very protective. I said, you cannot date until you're 30 years old. You cannot date other guys. Very naughty boys. This Rooney, very naughty. I remember secondary school. Very bad.
Yes, especially when he was in Peng Hong. I had to go and see the discipline teacher so many times.
Very naughty, this fella. Okay, for me, you didn't have to go see the discipline teacher. You dragged me to go to the deputy headmaster and scold me in front of the deputy headmaster because I procrastinated on applying for matrics. So I have to thank you for that. And you even told him to take away my outstanding graduate award. Wow,
correct.
This is different level of parenting also, different level. Can be traumatizing to many people. And also scolded me in front of some of the girls I like lah. When I started going through puberty, from my school, we had a party, at the party, not those kind of wild US party, just demure, Malaysian dressed properly kind of party amongst our primary school
At,
mates and
at the
rukun
RA
tetangga,
residence, Rukun
RA.
Tetangga sort of place, yeah.
Yeah, because we were too loud lah. Because I mean, mom and dad thinks that party should be quiet. Everyone sit down. Hey, how are you? How do you think about the sejarah you learned yesterday? So mom think that we all are too noisy lah because of party. Yeah, so cannot be too noisy lah. So they come and screw all of us. Then me, my credit, my social standing, if there was any ever amongst all the girls and guys, gone lah. So yeah, that was quite traumatic for some kids, but then I built resilience from there lah to be thick-skinned. Okay, so that was my secondary school. Nice ending. Nice ending. Talk about that.
Then brings me to the question of why you chose matriculation, because you had an option to do your A levels in the UK, fully sponsored as well.
So yeah, so I think that was a difficult decision. I went to matrix quite reluctantly, honestly. And we know that matrix has some quota system. I don't know how is it different now. I think it's not mistaken, it's about 10%. So it's very incredibly difficult for non-Burmese to go in. Grateful that I managed to go in. At the same time, when I first joined the orientation week, the first week, everyone had to wear, it's a bit different because in Zhongling, we all wear shorts and everything. I mean, this is a superficial thing, but in matrix, you all always had to be wearing long pants, correct? So that was where the attire and everything sort of came in, the uniform attire. I mean, it's fine, long pants and everything, and they put you in like one non-Bumi and 3 Bumis in one room. So I got along very well with my roommates, very great, awesome people. Yeah, they smoke in the room sometimes, but yeah, it's good whiff of air also sometimes. But anyhow, one of them became quite an inspector now in KL. Nice guy. So
but why did you choose?
Oh yeah, why did I choose?
How did you choose?
As I said, I mean, I was a bit reluctant to get to go, so I went in Gopeng, and I was also doing after the first week orientation. I was offered. I took a British Council exam with my good friend Daniel Law. The English speaking bloke, nice guy, nice chap, very handsome guy, still single, guys. Anyway, so we both got offered A levels, full scholarship to 2 boarding schools in UK. I think it's the Royal Wolverhampton, I think. Yeah. So he got it. Both of us were in matrix from Zhongling. Very upset about it. Didn't get to go overseas, that kind of thing, with our friends in JPA. He got it. He decided to go. I had a difficult time deciding. And I remember, I think mom and dad came to Perak, right? We stayed in some hotel and we talk about all night. I was very, very bokampuan, tak puas lah. So in the end, I decided to just stay in matrix because we thought that if I was to go UK, let's say I want to do medicine, my options would be limited. Let's say I want to do medicine. I wasn't crazy with medicine at the time. To go UK, and even if I go UK in the A levels, even if I get good results, the chances of me getting a full scholarship of going into a UK university to do a medical degree would be low, not that high. And it's very extremely financially costly for that. So I think that was not viable. And I swallowed the pill and I went to Matrix and continued in Matrix. Met my best friends there, good friends. Yeah. Adam, Song Cheng, a lot of people yeah. Edward, a lot of great people there as well. Su Yong, God Bro, all those.
And then can I ask this? We can cut this out if you want to, but I can't believe I have not asked this ever. So how did that conversation take place? I'm just curious, was there a discussion with it? So did dad tell you, or mom and dad tell you, okay, this, if you choose to pursue this, we can only afford X amount, and then the rest you need to figure out? What was it like? I'm genuinely curious.
I can't remember, honestly. Mom and dad, I can't remember. But they gave me a choice, but they didn't, I can't remember specific numbers did they list out anything. Neither did they say anything like, you think money grow on trees? They never say anything like that also. So they just gave me an option and I had to think it through myself.
So we did tell you that if you were to go to UK and do medicine, we can't afford it.
Oh, you can't? Yeah. You said that you had to get a full scholarship if you wanted to do medicine. Do you want to take the risk? Something like that lah. I mean, are you up for it lah? So, me, my balls shrunk. So I said, okay, never mind. Stay in matrix happily. And then Daniel Law just left. Bye bye. He left and he went to UK. Nice accent. Yeah. So that was my matrix. Got stuck through with it 1 year. I mean, good times. What
But
about
now
you?
you're
Yours?
in UK.
Now I'm in UK, Ulu Klang. No lah, no lah. I'm in UK. But what about Rooney? You also went to matrix.
Yeah. But just right before that, I don't know if you recall, and I don't know whether I'm imagining is this. I recall you were on the newspaper. You were featured in the newspaper after your SPM results came out, and that was at the time where there was recession. So that was that was the
Oh.
time that everyone was forced to work 4 days a week.
No lah, that one is
Do you
Chua Soy
recall
Lik lah. That one Chua Soy Lik MCA sex scandal, not me. Oh, same time. Oh, you mean me? You sure it's me? Looks like me, speaks like me, act like me.
Mom,
Okay.
do you recall this? Do you recall that
Got.
Coco was featured in? And I vividly remember when they were interviewing you, they quoted you, and you said, I don't know whether you were already, and you can't be already in matriculation, or you said you're going to go to
Okay.
matriculation or
I know
whatever.
already. I know which one you're talking about already. I got this reporter's contact, right? All because of Arts Ed. So
Mhm.
Arts Ed, that's when we appeared on the newspapers quite a lot, performances and everything. And they interview us, don't know why, like maybe I look very adorable, not haven't gone through puberty, that kind of thing. So so this reporter actually, because they were going through recession, correct? I think there was a bad time. I think it was the global financial crash or something that time, I think. If I'm not mistaken. And she interviewed me and said that interviewed me like how we help save our parent, how do we help our parents and family save money. So I think there was a photo of me in a bicycle. And then I say, oh, I save action lah, oh, actually, instead of we cycle around, we cycle to tuition or we cycle to get food and everything instead of, all of us drive, going out in cars. I can't even drive, or maybe it's at post 17. So that was one of it. And then we said that options of education wise, I think we mentioned something like that lah, about going through local instead of going private universities, private colleges, and all that. Something like that. Yeah.
So what I recall, because this, I didn't realize how much it stuck in my mind. I recall you saying something like, oh no, economy is not great, everyone, including my dad, is working 4 days a week. And our family, I have a sister as well. Of course, you need to also take into considerations the family's expenses, my education, but I also have a sister and all that. So
Yeah.
to answer your question, why I chose matriculation, in my mind, on the day that I got offer for matriculation, I also got the results. I also got the news that Fairview International offered
Oh,
me a
yeah.
full scholarship to do IB. I was very excited about doing IB. I went for the interview in KL. I got shortlisted, and we went to the interview in KL. Then it was a whole 2 days camp where they did a Model United Nations. That was part of the evaluation, and then there was an interview as well. And I was so excited about the program because IB then leads you to further studies in the US. So that was something I was aspired to do. So on the same day, I got both the offers, Matrix and Fairview, IB, but it wasn't that much of a struggle for me to make the decision. Not so much because I needed to save money for the family, but also I knew for myself that I don't think I would fare well if I'm studying under the pressure that, oh shit, if I don't do well, I'll lose the scholarship, then parents have to pay and all that. It's not that mom and dad pressured me. It's just that I know that I have to accept that that's not a pressure that I could handle when I'm studying. Because I accept that studying would in itself be challenging. At the time, I felt like it's new and everything. I won't flourish well if I'm constantly worrying that, oh shit, if I don't do well, then mom and dad have to then cover my costs when I go to university. So I maybe can say take the easy way out. I just went to matriculation. I guess it's also because I always saw you as a role model, and then you went to matriculation. As a result, I went to matriculation as well, and I thought that gave me a lot more freedom. I die or I fail or I succeed. That's on you don't do well, you go into a university that's not great. If you want to do well, then you work hard for it. But if you fail,
Yeah.
I know that at least if I fail, I won't be then burdening mom and dad with a huge chunk of money just to go into private universities. So that was my personal choice because I wanted that freedom.
You went for not only farewell, I think you went for another interview also, right? That offer IB.
Probably because I remember applying to a few, but I
You went
remember
for
only
interview 2, I think, at least in KL. You went to the interview.
I think this
really.
could be the same. I also applied for IB because I really wanted to go to US and Ivy League. I had great dreams that time. So I went to Sri KDU. I think Sri KDU was one of the early ones that have offered that as well, but I didn't get an interview. Like I applied, but I didn't get. So I don't know why for the scholarship. So I mean I don't know why. I mean I didn't get that interview. So yeah, I didn't go IB in the end. I go Matrix though. So maybe yours is Sri
So
KDU.
any regrets?
I mean, no regrets
Or what were
because I think like what Rooney said, I think that definitely at the end was a big concern as well. Like you said it correctly that the financial burden, I mean the stress of having to succeed and if you fail then it'll be a huge certain financial burden on our family was also a big factor lah. Yeah. I think that time, like you said, you were also quite young and we don't know, and I wanted to keep my options open of what I wanted to study, what a field I wanted. I don't want to be limited just because I want to go overseas. I want to limit my fields of study just because I want to go overseas to a UK or US and do something that might not be my top choice. So for me, it's always about options. It's always about doors to open. Even coming to UK, it's always about trying to get that international accreditation, hopefully someday, so that I can easily apply for jobs anywhere I want. It's always about that lah. So even then, I think looking back, probably that's why I went to Matrix so that I
a
can
lot of
have the degree I want.
parents see matrix no up on because
No,
matrix standard memang lower than
I
from 6.
mean, who are we gonna kid lah? That's what I was telling people who asked me on Matrix. I mean, my final paper, I was very stressed out because the final maths. Okay, make no mistake. So we learn chemistry, biology or physics, and maths in Matrix, right? And English, I think. So the maths is crazy hard. Actually, the syllabus is crazy hard. It's not that easy as we think, but I remember the last paper, I almost couldn't do 50% of the paper. I never felt so hard in my entire life before at that point of time. Even SPM is breeze lah. SPM if you pass here, something like that. This one was the hardest. I couldn't even do half the page, half the entire exam paper. And you know what I got? I got A. So
it's the bell curve.
it's the bell curve. So it's a bell curve lah. So it's a distribution lah. So that's why people say that the standards is not great. Probably everyone doesn't do well because it's hard. Some of the things are hard, so they pull the standards down. I mean, for the grades lah. So it is what it is.
And the fact of the matter is because of the quota system, 10% for non-Bumi Putras and 90 for Bumi Putras, there will be a disparity in the students' results, those who are in matriculation. So the non-Bumi Putra students will usually come from the top students or those who got almost straight A's or whatnot. So that disparity then gets reflected in your bell curve lah.
You know that matrix used to be 100% Bumi, just because the level, I think the level went down, so the government put some non-Bumi inside, good students to compete so that the Bumis can compete and don't be so complacent about their results.
Well, I guess, yeah, fair enough. And the other way is that they're giving some chance to non-Bumis. If you look at it positive, another way is that they give some chance to non-Bumis to go in. But I think what I felt unfair was, okay, if you finish with matrix, you go into uni, right? What was even more reflected unfairly that I sensed was that I got 4.0, so I got into for medicine, which was what I really, really wanted to get into for medicine. At that point of time. So I managed to get in because I've got 4.0. So most of us, at least the non-Bumis, so it was a 50-50. So in medicine, it was about, at my point of time, it was about 50% was Bumis and 50% non-Bumis, with Chinese taking up for almost about maybe 80% of the students. So amongst the 80% of Chinese, or more than half of it was actually more than 70%, I would estimate, was all from matrics. So there was only out of 200 people in UM Medic, maybe around 10 or less than 15 from STPM straight A 4.0 students. Knowing the fact that there's so many more other STPM 4.0 out there and know how hard STPM is, right?
Yeah.
That didn't get a chance to get into UM Medic. So matrix was sort of a blessing for people who went in to get into top degrees like law for Rooney and Medic.
Because once when it comes to university entry selection program, matriculation students will automatically rank one tier above the SCPM students. So that if you ask me, it is very unfair to the SPM students. If you're talking purely on merits, there are a lot of SPM students who were deprived certain opportunities because of that tiering between matriculation and Form 6.
So if parents were to give up their place, if there are parents who gave up their place, their children offered matriculation and they gave it up. I think those are stupid.
I mean, to each their own lah. I mean, if you can afford it, send your kids to open up more opportunities, then you go STP, because STP I think can go to other countries, right? Some other countries like Singapore.
Oh,
maybe.
if then you intend to send your child to overseas or private, then you don't apply for that place. Then because you apply already, you got it, you don't get it, they give to other people.
No, but okay, what?
Boomy.
They reject ma. I mean, not necessarily, because I guess people want to, lah, kiasu, what? Everyone just apply everything, then see what you get, then you just take lah. That's matrix. Anything you add about matrix? I think matrix, right? I mean, it was it's sort of a forced environment to interact between boomies and non-boomies, right? Because the way they design the roommates, 3 boomie and 1 non-boomie, sort of like Lee Kuan Yew style for Singapore lah.
Classroom as well.
I remember, so boomie in the class of maybe 20-30, always there'll only be like 2 non-boomie guy, 2 non-boomie girl. So it's always this ratio.
Well, what I thought was a bit that when I was in matriculation was at the height of Najib's One Malaysia campaign. Then every time when we start perhimpunan or whatever, we like Salam Sejahtera, Salam Satu Malaysia. That was quite ironic for me.
Propaganda.
It was a weird place to be propagating One Malaysia in college matriculasi, but yeah, just
And I went to Biro Tata Negara during matrix lah. So yeah, the Biro Tata Negara, the infamous one, telling you about how bad DAP is and everything. Yeah, I've gone through that proudly. And one more thing is that I think what I remember from matrix was that the rule, right, that guy and girl cannot be alone in a room, cannot be seen dating together. So yeah, I got strict rules lah. The guard will come and cannot, tak boleh ya. Satu lelaki, satu perempuan buat apa ni? Even non-Muslims, anyone everyone actually. Yeah, nice experience.
I think my college were even stricter. It's halfway through matrix, they announced that there's a new rule because there's only a few places to eat. So matriculation is an enclosed place. You're in this compound where there's classes, sports places to eat. There's only a few, and then you can't go out. You can only go out on weekends. So halfway through matriculation, they announced that guys and girls cannot go out on the same day. So Saturday is allocated for guys or something, and then Sunday for girls. So that they don't want guys and girls to go out on the same day. But even within the college, there's only 3 canteens at the 3 residential asrama place, and then in each canteen is like a huge place where the tables and chairs are bolted to the floor, and then they're quite close to each other. And then it's a huge place where everybody is eating, you can see everybody, it's an open space. But they eventually came out with a new rule that in each table, it can't be like only 1 guy and 1 girl, even though the tables are all very close together. But the guards will come and say, cannot. If there's only 1 guy and 1 girl, there must be someone else there.
Right?
No lah, not stupid. Nice lah, very nice. It's like,
and I think,
it like Jack?
And also during Valentine's Day, there were posters that came out and say like Saint Valentine's was a Satan worshipper or something like that.
Oh really?
Stupid, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I didn't remember that.
Celebrate Valentine's Day.
Oh, quite bad. I mean, quite strict, your matrix.
Someone you see all Malaysians not sensitive.
This is top-down policy.
But overall, I'm quite grateful for the matriculation experience. Somehow we get to stay in there. It's free education and we get allowance.
Oh yeah, we get free allowance, right?
We get allowance, sufficient for you to cover your food and all that.
Yeah, so if you were to go
So-
A-levels, right, overseas or go Inti or whatever lah, oh, that would be a total. This one they pay you somehow. So if you want to stay in local, you want to study hard, you want to get into uni a certain degree. I think it's worth it for a certain degree.
Yeah.
Like for example, medicine and law is expensive degrees, even if you do it private locally.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth it.
And then, like you said, if you want to go through SPM, it's very, very difficult to get into the better universities, even though you qualify in merits. But matriculation gives you're one foot into the good universities, essentially.
Yeah.
But
what is-
does it cause your inferiority complex?
Well, I know a lot of people just look down on matric students lah. But I mean, look at it as a stepping stone lah, right? I mean, you still want to go into uni, right? I mean, of course, compare if you want to go to UM is a good school in Malaysia already. Of course, if you have the choice to go to Harvard, you go to Harvard lah. But I mean, how many people have the choice to go to Harvard, right? Or can afford to go overseas and pay everything if you cannot get a scholarship, right? It's the reality of it lah. But I made good friends there.
You also get good friends there.
Yeah. Had some very good friends there. But on your point of inferiority complex, and I've just had this conversation with my mentee in this mentorship program, SPM leavers. And I was speaking to my mentee, and I think she also didn't quite see the value in matriculation. And then her sources for information was from some friends and some parents' friends, and they say, go private universities, Monash is good. So I went to a career fair with her a few weeks ago. I didn't realize how expensive all those private universities were. Even foundation itself was so expensive. And I was just asking her, actually, why are you looking at certain universities? Why is it? And she said, oh, it's because they told me certain universities, you have more international exposure. There's a better chance for you to go and do exchange program and all that, which is perhaps is a fair point. But what made me realize, and what I was sharing with her as well, was the fact that it's at the end of the day, of course, if you have good opportunities or if your family can afford it, by all means go ahead, make the choices that you want to. But what I was trying to tell her as well, from my experience in UM, is that there's always I feel like it always comes down to the individual. You can always make full use of the resources. There's always, if you're resourceful, there's always things out there that you can explore. So if you ask me if I do feel some inferiority complex, sometimes I do like work and all that. Everyone's graduated from Manchester and all these good schools in the UK. But while we were in UM, I think because I'll give credit to UM, especially UM Law School, it afforded me with a lot of opportunities to do mooting, this mock court competition overseas. So I was competing in Oxford, I was competing in Singapore, I was competing in Australia against all these top universities. So there are opportunities out there that we can still explore, even though we are from local U. So that was the point that I was trying to make and trying to share with my mentee, that even though we're in public universities, you can still make opportunities. You can apply for a scholarship to do your exchange program and all that.
So I think we already entered into uni lah kan. So from matrix we already going to uni, and I think that the good point lah. I mean, it's just circumstances stuff, right? So whether in a few checkpoint where you can just exit Malaysia and go overseas and go to those top universities, SPM in our time lah, right? SPM, you get good scholarship, you get GPA. Intact, then it goes send you over to overseas lah. It can be India, it can be wherever lah, Russia for medicine. But then the second checkpoint is there's no check unless you go through pre-U in local, then you get good results, then you go overseas from A-levels or SAM or US, Canadian, whatever. So that you need money lah. So or scholarship lah. Yeah, those are the two checkpoints. So you're not your public or deal lah. You're public in Malaysia. Saya cinta negara, negaraku. That's it lah. But good lah. That's what happened for both of us. We're not too bad lah, right? I mean, I can speak English also, right? Bahasa Melayu pun saya bagus. Sebenarnya kalau Anthony Lok nak pengganti, saya ada. Betul tak?
But now that you're working in London, people understand your accent or not?
Ini temporary saja. So saya datang menimba ilmu, mungkin satu hari saya balik menerajui kemajuan negara. Sick. Okay, then next one I'll continue the next Zoom. Okay? Then end it lah.